All right, I think we're live. I think. Let me check, because this did not go so well last time. I'm here. Hang on, I think we've got a little bit of lag. It should have just been fixed. Let's see here. Uh-oh. It seems that you guys can't hear me. Oh, excellent. You can hear me. Good. I think there's just a little bit of lag. Sorry, guys. All right. So, welcome. Fred is here with me today, so you might hear and see me hear and see him in the background. Just going to leave you guys a comment, because I think that's live, but for some reason my picture has a bit of lag, so. All right. Excellent. Well, I'm glad that you guys are joining me. I wanted to come on today and just do some quick updates as far as what's been going on in Cayman. There's been a lot going on in Cayman, so from hurricane or tropical storm that they're not calling a hurricane, but it was a hurricane. It did reach hurricane force winds, and there was actually quite a bit of damage, more than you might expect for a tropical storm. And then we also have some updates on the beach erosion situation. We have updates on the COVID travel restrictions, and of course some of your questions can be answered for those of you who are here and leaving me these lovely comments that I can read live, which is awesome. So, with that said, sorry if I keep looking down, it's because I'm making sure on my phone that the stream is working properly. If any of you guys saw the one that I did a few days ago, it was a test stream and it was not working properly. So we want to make sure that this one is smooth. All right. So let's start out with topic number 1, which is the most recent, I guess, update, which would be the hurricane. So Grace graced Cayman with her presence, and when she went over the island, she was still a tropical storm, technically, but during the point of time when it was hovering over the island, it did reach hurricane force winds from what I've heard. I've heard reports of winds being recorded in the high 90 mile per hour range, as well as over 100 miles per hour. I haven't been able to confirm anything because obviously I'm still not on the island myself, but I can tell you that the reports range all the way as high as, I think it was like 114 or 115 miles an hour. So very high winds, should have been categorized as a Category 1 in my opinion. And I've heard a lot of reports too of like vortexes happening, basically like small tornadoes within this storm. And the damage was more than one might expect, like I said, for a tropical storm, where usually you would just see, some wind and some rain and not that much legitimate damage unless we're talking about homes that aren't built to hurricane standard. But in this case, there was a lot of damage for what they were only calling a tropical storm. We saw downed trees, we saw property damage, and I'm actually going to change my screen for you guys here. I want to show you a little bit, there we go. There we go. I want to show you guys some of the damage at the botanical gardens. If you have ever visited the island and visited the botanical gardens, you'll know it's one of the most beautiful scenic spots, lots of endangered plants and animals that have a habitat there. And unfortunately, there was a lot of damage. So, I'm still on the COVID page here. We'll get to this later. This is a news article from Loop News Cayman about the damage that happened at the Queen Elizabeth Botanical Park. So you can see here, like, entire buildings were taken down. See, they're still reporting 65 to 70 mile per hour gusts, but I'm telling you, a lot of people recorded wind gusts a lot higher than that. But yeah, so some of these are protected trees, some of these are native trees. In fact, almost everything in the botanical gardens, I believe, is native to the island. So it's just really heartbreaking to see this much damage, especially with trees this old. That's the kind of thing you would expect to see in like a category 3 and up. So I'm just not really sure how they're only calling this a tropical storm with this kind of damage. Like, this should be evidence enough. But on top of that, you have people in different parts of the island recording extremely high wind speeds. So yeah, just kind of weird. I have the feeling that they're categorizing it lower than it is to try to avoid panic. Because here in Miami last year we had Tropical Storm Eta pass through, and we also saw like a lot more flooding and rain and just problems than you would expect in a tropical storm. You know, people here are pretty used to tropical storms, and we had people in our neighborhood, like the water was up past our knees. We were wading around on the street, and we had people in the neighborhood saying that that like they had never seen water levels this high. They, have never seen things come to this level, and it's just weird that something that's only a tropical storm would do that. So my personal theory, and I'm no scientist, my personal theory is climate change. I mean, to me it seems obvious that if sea levels rise, then your storm surge is going to get worse with every storm. Flooding is going to get worse with every storm, especially in places like Cayman and like Miami, where we're really close to the sea level. So there's only so much space underneath our feet before you hit, rock. And that rock is usually porous. And here in Miami, it's limestone, right? In Miami? Yeah, we're on limestone, which is porous. And so if the sea levels are rising, that's going to rise through those like porous rock formations and get up into your sewers. So basically, anytime there's a little bit of rain, the sewers are already almost full, so you're just going to get flooding every single time. So that, I think, is why we're seeing a lot more like water damage in places as far as like flooding levels go. There were videos in Cayman of like tarpons swimming through the streets. Like, same thing there that we saw here with the tropical storm last year, that the water level was like up to people's knees. There were fish swimming around on the roads, just like crazy stuff, things that you wouldn't expect to see in a tropical storm. It looks like I have a question here from Ruth Ann. Hi, Ruth Ann. I know she's a regular viewer. It's nice to see you in the chat. So she's asking, is this hurricane going to do more damage to 7 Mile Beach? And James has a good point that the winds might not have been sustained long enough. That's a very good point. James, it looks like you lost a tree and a bush. Oh, no. Hopefully they can be salvaged, and if not, let's plant some new life, because it always breaks my heart to see that happen after the storms. As far as the hurricane doing more damage to 7 Mile, I haven't heard anything along those lines right now. I haven't seen any pictures of anything like that, though there has been some damage to docks, obviously, and things like that along the waterfront. But what's happening to 7 Mile is more of a long-term issue that, yes, every storm is going to contribute to that issue, but at this point, there's like a peak that we've passed as far as like, we could fix it and kind of go back down the peak, and now we've like passed that peak and we're like snowballing down the other side. So I think that's what's happening with 7 Mile Beach. In my opinion, the only way to help that and to make sure that future storms don't continue to erode it even worse is to start taking out seawalls and moving buildings back. I mean, I guess, I don't really know what more to say about it than that. It's super, super disappointing to see this happening to 7 Mile. I like cried about it for like 2 days when I saw the most recent videos and stuff, the last time it like fully flooded. So yeah, the storms, I would say, probably are contributing to the erosion, but it's not the reason why the erosion is happening. Sea levels, though, are expected to continue to rise, and that will eventually swallow the beach, because we only have so many inches above sea level. So yeah, basically that is the situation. We didn't have any major, injuries that I heard of, no deaths, no nothing like that, but just more damage, more trees falling over onto houses. I had a friend of mine whose windows exploded. I was a little bit worried going into this because I heard a lot of people online just like not taking it very seriously. They were kind of like, it's a tropical storm, we'll be fine. But like, you should still put your storm shutters up. I just finished talking about how we're only a few inches above sea level. So it's always a better safe than sorry situation, in my opinion, when it comes to storms like this, especially because climate change has made things so much less predictable in recent years. Storms have just been a lot weirder. Like, why is a tropical storm causing that kind of flooding? Why is a tropical storm causing people to report, like, vortexes inside of it? Like, it's just weird. So I would take a better safe than sorry approach in general with any kind of storms, any kind of weather warnings going forwards. So if a tropical storm is coming and you live in a tropical area, even if it's not a hurricane, make sure you have a few gallons of water set aside, because you want to be able to, use the bathroom if you need to, if things get bad. Make sure you have either like a small gas stove if your main stove in your home is an electric stove, so if the power goes out, you're still able to make food for yourself. If you know the storm is coming, you have like a day or two's notice, maybe set some ice aside in the freezer so that you can keep things cool that need to be kept cool. There's lots of resources online. You can Google hurricane preparedness. If you live in Cayman, you'll see it in the newspaper. You'll get flyers to your door about hurricane preparedness. Like, don't just throw them out. Pay attention to it. It can save your life. It can save your pet's life. It could save somebody's life. So, and even if it doesn't save your life, you know what it can save you from? Being in that long-ass Popeyes line the second that the storm passed, and all the people who didn't have, like, a gas stove or a barbecue were like, I'm going to Popeyes. I felt so bad for the Popeyes employees. Like, they shouldn't have even been called into work that day, let alone had to deal with a line that went, like, 3 miles down the road. So bad. Anyways, I think I might have some more comments here, so let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. So hi, Robert. Good to see you as well. Robert says, hi, I know you spoke about the corruption on the Cayman Islands in the past, but I was wondering, is the Cayman Islands a safe place to live? I would say yeah, pretty much. We've seen a small uptick in crime. I mean, Caymanians wouldn't call it small, but we have seen an uptick in crime since the shutdown in 2020 because of COVID. And I personally think that's to do with all the people being out of work, all the people who are struggling to get by. The tourism industry basically is non-existent right now. There's so few visitors coming in because of the travel restrictions, which I'm going to talk about shortly. But yeah, I really do believe that the uptick in crime has been largely attributed to just the general, what's the word I'm looking for? I almost want to say like collapse of an industry, but hopefully it's going to make a comeback. But yeah, there's a lot of people who are struggling right now, and not enough people who have the power to do something about it are really talking about it or doing anything about it. So, that when people are put in that kind of situation, their job is just kind of swept out like a rug pulled from underneath them. And as a Caymanian, unfortunately, and Robert mentioned, I've talked about corruption before. This is one of the topics I talked about, is Caymanians having a hard time getting hired. And a lot of employers having a preference for expats, for people from the US, the UK, stuff like that. So imagine having, this job that you've had 10, 15 years, and it's just gone overnight. And none of these companies, these office jobs want to offer you a job as a Caymanian. And, you might not live in the richest area of town, and you might get an offer to do some slightly sketchy things for cash work, What are people going to do? They've got to feed their kids. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying there are reasons why these things happen. So, but that said, even though there is a little bit more crime than there has been in the past, like when I was growing up, it's still a much, much safer place to live than where I am right now. And I've, let's say, not been hesitant to travel and live other places in the past because of safety. So that's not really a game changer for me or like a deal breaker for me, but I know for some people it is. But if you really wanted to like compare Cayman to other places, it's still like a super, super safe place as far as like on the global scale goes. But if you ask like my grandmother or people in that generation, like, is Cayman safe these days? They would think about like the 50s and the 60s when it was like a paradise, and they'd be like, no, it's not the same anymore. So just know that the answer to that question will definitely depend on who you ask. But if you ask me, I feel perfectly safe walking around at night in Cayman. I felt perfectly safe getting drunk at a music festival in Cayman. So, I think Cayman is safe. I'm happy to walk around on my own, take public transit. I've never had any issues except for somebody like stealing my bank account card, or not my bank account, but like my debit card information once I got my debit card scammed. So, little petty theft like that, I guess, but I've never had any big issues. But I do know people who have like gone out partying and had bad situations happen, so definitely take the same precautions you would anywhere else, but it is a lot safer than a lot of other places. If things don't change with ozone, will Cayman disappear? Whew, that's a hard question to answer. I don't really want to answer that question, because if I go back to the climate courses that I took just as electives in college, the answer is yes, Cayman will eventually be underwater based on current weather patterns and trends. Our sea levels could rise by the meters soon if we don't do anything about it. So, but that's also not guaranteed. If we really, really put the pressure on, you know, the people that have the ability to make these changes, the people at the tops of big corporations, the energy sector, that kind of stuff, if we really put pressure on, we could probably make enough changes fast enough to mitigate what's happening. But yeah, I don't really know what to tell you as far as like how long before that might happen. I hope it doesn't happen. Maybe all these scientists are wrong. I don't know. I would like to think so. Fred's like, don't say that. So yeah, I feel like if you love Cayman and you want to enjoy it while you can. Enjoy it right now, because things are changing. Our whole world is changing. We're seeing this everywhere. You know, Greece was just on fire the other day. Canada's on fire right now. The West Coast is burning. So this is happening everywhere. This is the reality of climate change. I have never seen this many weather events happening at one time in my lifetime up until recent years, and I'm sure many people who will watch this stream will probably feel the same way. So, yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that, except if there's somewhere you want to visit, even if it's not Cayman, if there's somewhere you love and you want to visit and remember it how it is today, don't waste time. Live your life like today might be the last day, because for that location, I mean, for you, literally, that's just, it's the YOLO lifestyle. I've been living it since, 2016 when YOLO was a thing? But I really do believe that, like, and we've lived it long enough to see it, that you just kind of have to seize the day. Because, like, Cayman's beach, 7 Mile Beach might look fine today. I don't know, I could ask my parents to go down to take a picture. It might be normal today. And then tomorrow, there might be a change of tides, a storm might come in, and it'll be wiped back out again. And every time the tides push the sand back in, it's a little bit less because of those seawalls. It's hard to explain, but I tried to explain it in the last video, but it basically like digs the sand out instead of just moving it around. So anytime the sand comes kind of like a current will bring the sand back, it's going to be less sand because so much of it has been dug out. I hope I'm explaining that well. I don't know. Oh, Robert's asking to see Benny. Well, that will certainly lighten the mood. Hi, Benny. He's right here. He's always right underneath me. Whoa, it's Benny. It's the Benny stream. Benny's live. Benny's confused. Hey, buddy. You gonna say hi to the viewers? They're in there. They're right there. Do you see them? Say hi, everybody. Hello. Yeah, that's all you have to say? Do you want to actually say something? Want to speak? He doesn't speak when I'm holding him. We have to put him down for that. Benny, speak. Speak. Hey, good boy. I owe him a treat now. Give me 1 sec. All right, let's just bring him over here, Benny. Come on. I can't ask him to do a trick without a treat. It's not fair. Here you go, buddy. Good boy. All right. Okay, so if you guys have any other questions about hurricanes, hurricane preparedness, whatnot, feel free to leave it in the chat. I'm going to move on to the next topic because I want to keep the stream to about an hour. I'm testing out different time lengths for streams to see what works. So I'm going to move on to the next topic, which is... What is the next topic? Oh, goodness. We're going to talk about the travel restrictions. Okay. So yeah, we covered the beach erosion a little bit. I basically just wanted to let you guys know that parts of the beach are looking normal again, but overall the issue is still a big issue, and we definitely still need to keep the pressure on to make sure that those seawalls get changed and moved. Right now, actually, let me see, hang on. What is the name of that? there was a really interesting write-up done. I might not be able to find it now. I might have to do a separate video. I guess this is an update that I didn't have in my last video, was the Premier's statement on the topic. Basically, he said that he's going to take action. So I highly encourage you guys to email him regularly and make sure that that's happening actively. Oh, this is a great comment. So Lex, welcome to the chat. Lex says, it's my opinion that Cayman should expand its health industry for the elderly, such as nursing homes, adult daycare, and elderly living communities, etc. This will bring lots of jobs for the Caymanians. I completely agree. Lex, you have hit the nail on the head. Because post-COVID, our tourism world is going to have to look completely different. We know that. We know that because of how much better things have been since the cruise ships stopped coming. We know that because how much the environment, not counting the beach erosion and stuff that's man-made, like caused by man-made things, but those are places of the environment that we've left untouched. Like if you go look at Barker's at West Bay right now, they're trying to dig that up too, actually. It's just like every little piece of paradise that we have left, they're trying to dig up and develop and change. But if you look at those little pockets that have been left untouched, not having all of these tourists for the past year and a bit, I've never seen those parts of Cayman look more beautiful, look more natural, look more healthy. Like, the island needs a break from the mass tourism. It's not working out. So, that's not to say we shouldn't have tourists, but I think Lex is right, we need to take a different approach. And I've actually been, for like months now, scripting out a video on the topic of medical tourism. I really want to talk about that because I really think medical tourism and ecotourism should be the future of tourism for Cayman. That's not to say we won't have regular visitors, but I think we should try to gear that in a way where the regular visitors are mostly people who are coming to visit family and friends. I don't think we should encourage day visitors like cruise ships anymore. It's just not sustainable for the island. Sometimes the island's population will like triple in a single day for like 6 hours because of the number of cruise ships stopping in. And the amount, like working in town for as long as I did, it was just disgusting to see the amount of garbage that came in every day, just the carelessness of some of these tourists. It's just like they treat the island like it's some sort of theme park or something instead of an actual country that they're visiting. Because to them, it feels like a theme park. Think about it. If you went to Disney World, you're like stepping in there and you're going and seeing all the things for the day and then you leave. And it's like, it's an experience, not a place. And so I think overnight visitors are really what we should focus on. And I think Lex's point about expanding the medical industry so that medical tourism is more of a focus, I'm not sure, Lex, but they're totally right. That's a really great way that we can encourage visitors to come over for positive reasons, for reasons that are going to benefit them and benefit the island and allow them to enjoy the island. So I think that's a great point. So thank you for that comment, Lex. So, yeah, beach erosion. The Premier is hoping to take action. That said, he also has to get through a lot of bureaucracy and red tape to get things done. But this is a perfect example of what I was talking about with seawalls. You guys can see where these stairs are coming down from the seawall here. That's a perfect example of how it digs out the sand. Every time a storm comes in and those really turbulent waves pull the sand back, it just completely digs it out. And you can see where the sand level was when they built this wall, which was, I would guess, probably in the 90s. A lot of these walls weren't there in like my parents' time and my grandparents' time. A lot of the hotels were, but the seawalls weren't. And that's important to note because this has all started snowballing after those seawalls were built. But that said, the reason why I think not only do the seawalls need to be taken out, but the hotels and the buildings need to be moved back is because of that sea level rise that we were just talking about. It's not enough now to take the seawalls out because we would have had a certain amount of protection if we didn't put those seawalls and if we had left mangroves. The sea level rise would not be as much of a threat because a lot of that high sand would have been protected over the years. But now it's been years and years and years of this happening on a very tiny scale every year so that you didn't really notice. It's like the whole thing people say about boiling a frog, right? You put a frog in cold water and it won't jump out and it'll boil, whatever. That's actually not true. The frog will jump out. But anyways, the point remains that We didn't notice it because it was happening so slowly over the years, and it was only now that it's past the tipping point and it's gotten drastic that we're like, oh shoot, this is a problem. And it's too late to just take the seawalls out. We have to now move things back because we've lost so much sand, we've lost so much protection. If this much damage that we just looked at was done by a tropical storm, imagine a Category 5. I don't want to. I really don't want to in the state that the island is right now. A Category 5 would be devastating. If there was a Category 5 coming out, I would be dropping money on a plane ticket to get my family the fuck out of there. Just to put it simply. So, let's move on to a lighter topic. This is hard to talk about. Okay, so we talked about that. Oh, my husband's delivering me bacon. Thanks, babe. Benny wants some, of course. All right. I've got juice and I've got bacon. It's breakfast here. This is Sunday life in our house. Okay. So I wanted to talk about those of you who want to visit Cayman. We're somewhat in a post-COVID world, at least in Cayman anyways. Look at this fun fact. Here's the Cayman Community Spread Milestone. Sorry, I don't usually talk and eat. This is weird for me. Okay. It has been well over a year without community transmission in Cayman. Now, that's not to say there haven't been COVID cases, because obviously if someone flies in from somewhere else, leaves the island, comes back, it's very possible for the virus to come on one of these flights. However, they have been continuing their... Where's the page I was looking for? Yeah. Oh, it was on the previous one. There have been continued quarantine requirements all this time. At no point since COVID started has Cayman let up on their quarantine restrictions for visitors, or basically anybody incoming from outside of the island. So you can travel between the 3 islands pretty easily, but if you're like going to Miami for a week and then you come back, this applies to you. So let's just scroll down here to inter-island travel. So yeah, you can travel between the islands without being tested for COVID-19, provided that you're not showing any symptoms. Important to know. Now, where did the other one go? Here's the regular one. International travel, there we are. So, effective June 23rd, mandatory quarantine has been reduced from 10 to 5 days for those vaccinated by the HSA, which is the Caymanian Health Services Authority, or where securely verified. So that means, for example, I got my vaccine at a CVS, and I got one of those like official vaccination cards, and I also have like a QR code that I can get online. If you have that official documentation and the QR code and all that from the CDC, it's my understanding that it's fairly easy to get in and out. That said, if you have something unofficial or if you like lost your card or something, you might have problems. You might have to do the long quarantine. So for unvaccinated travelers or anybody whose vaccination documents are not accepted by the HSA, this applies to you. Unvaccinated travelers and those where the vaccination certificate cannot be securely verified are required to complete a 14-day quarantine period. So that means if you are planning to take a vacation in Cayman and you're not vaccinated and you wanted to stay for 1 week, you have to stay for 3 weeks because you have to do 2 weeks of quarantine where you're not allowed to leave your hotel room. The furthest you can go is on your balcony. And that is pretty seriously monitored. Like, I believe they do use monitoring bracelets. They were using monitoring bracelets at one point. I'm not sure if they still are, to be honest. I know they were also doing like a wristband system at some point. I don't know. But they're closely monitoring these incoming passengers. So you have to have a negative PCR test before they even let you get on the plane. And then you would have to quarantine for 14 days. And then you can have your vacation. So if you wanted to come to Cayman for 2 weeks, only you're going to spend those 2 weeks in a hotel room on your own. You're not allowed to touch the beach. You're not allowed to, like, go to a restaurant. You can't do anything. So you'd have to quarantine for the 2 weeks. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to get vaccinated, doesn't believe in the vaccinations, I suggest you hold off on visiting Cayman. until further notice, because I don't know how long this is going to be. And it's honestly for the best. Like, this is the only reason why Cayman has had no community transmission. If you could see, where did that slide go? Wow, there's a whole lot of slides. Okay. Yeah, so since June 11th of 2021, 1 year without community spread. And that's because they've been ensuring that anybody who brings the virus in keeps it contained. Hence why quarantine works. So Cayman has been very spoiled compared to most other places for the entire duration of this pandemic because of the way that they've handled this. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, it is what it is. We had visitors come to the island when the pandemic was like, you know, first just getting really crazy and everybody was terrified. And they legit sent that girl to jail when she broke quarantine and her family was not happy about it. But like, they have to take it that seriously, otherwise nobody will take it that seriously. So, oh, we have a Toronto viewer, my home city, my other home city. I don't really have a home city, it's a long story, but I lived in Toronto for like 15 years, I love it there. So welcome to the stream, and thank you for joining the chat. Okay, do you guys have any other questions about COVID restrictions or about that whole process, what's involved? This website is really, really helpful. If you're thinking about coming to Cayman, whether you're moving here or going to visit, highly recommend using this resource, exploregov.ky/coronavirus. You ran into me at Canada's Wonderland? Sorry, I'm so distracted by this chat. I'm new to streaming, you guys. This is fun. Sweet! I gotta come back to Canada's Wonderland. I miss it there. Well, thank you for joining. For those who are in the chat from my theme park vlog days, that was a long time ago, but good news, those are starting back this year. So that's exciting. We'll be doing Cayman vlogs, theme park vlogs. I want to do like hotel reviews. So this is going to become much more of a very general travel and adventure channel. I know during COVID I've just been sitting here chatting about Cayman nonstop. So I hope to like get out of the house again soon, now that I'm fully vaccinated and like back to work and everything. So yeah. Yes, Ruth Ann, I am excited to be doing vacation videos again soon. I don't want to spoil anything because I have a really big vacation coming up that my hubby's treating me to for my 30th birthday in December. If you guys haven't followed that long, my birthday is the day after Christmas. So I have a lifelong habit of going big for my birthday because it usually gets overshadowed by Christmas, and so I refuse to get overshadowed by Christmas. So just know that that's coming. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming. Yeah, I'll definitely, Ruth Ann, I'm definitely going to do some hotel reviews here around Miami. When I used to visit my husband like once a month when we were long distance, back when we were dating, we stayed at a ton of different hotels, and I truly wish I had vlogged those better back then, because I was just honestly so excited to hang out with him that I was not paying attention to vlogging. But now that I live here, that's a lot easier to do, and I can get resident rates on a lot of places, so that's definitely something that's in the books in the future, so stay tuned. Plantation Village, oh, it's beautiful there. Going back for Pirates Week, oh, I'm so jealous. Maybe I can make that work. I have a lot of big dreams for the end of this year, though, and we have, like, what, 3 or 4 months left, so I'm committing to a lot right now. That would be sweet, though. I hope you enjoy Pirates Week. That's going to be so fun. If you guys have stayed in Cayman before, let me know in the chat what hotel is your favorite, or what Airbnb, or if you've stayed at one of the Cayman villas or something like that. Definitely put that in the chat, because when people watch this live in the future, I know a lot of people have those kind of questions, and having your own suggestions right here will really help them out. All right, so what was next on the docket? We talked about COVID. Q&A. So we have lots of time. I got like 20 minutes if you guys want to hang out and chat. If you have any questions, happy to discuss anything that is on your minds. I'm going to just leave this screen up with the COVID travel bulletins and everything scrolling through, because I think that's really helpful for people to see. And I definitely want people to know about this website, exploregov.ky/coronavirus. I'm going to keep eating bacon. Sorry, guys. What's going on in the chat? I've heard good things about Plantation Village. Let's actually pull that up. I feel like that's one of those ones that is, oh, no, not shopping center. We're not going to Miami, guys. Sorry, Google thinks I'm looking for things in Miami always. Cayman, we want Cayman. Let's look at some pictures. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Plantation Village has been there for like forever. Ruth Ann went on a cruise back in 2003. I really have mixed feelings about cruises. I actually love cruises. I've taken cruises in the past. I just wish that, like, as an industry... Oh gosh, wow, here's a recent picture of all the flooding and beach erosion at Plantation Village. So there you go. Who wasn't in the comments saying they were staying there? True Juggalos. That's an awesome name, by the way. Your dad owns unit number 44. Wow. Ask him if he's seen these pictures of what it looks like right now. Because this is crazy. I'm pretty sure there used to be beach, if not iron shore, right there on the other side of that seawall. But yeah, these are beautiful little apartments. And like I said, this one's been here for a long, long, long time. You can always tell because the newer hotels and residences are huge. They're like 6 stories to 10 stories. And these older ones that have been here for a long time are like 3-4 stories max. Like, that's the Cayman that I love. We don't need high rises in Cayman. Look at the size of the island. It's ridiculous. Even this is sad to see, this picture. Like, there was so much more beach there when I was younger. It's just unfortunate. But yeah, about the cruises, I love cruises. I just would like to see the industry become more sustainable. There's a lot of opportunity there, and there are actually some cruise lines who are making those changes. It's just not on a large enough scale yet, and the ones that come to Cayman, unfortunately, have some real sketchy deals. I don't know why they let such gigantic ships come here. We should really be marketing to the more like smaller boutique ships, just because of the size of the island, but what do I know? Robert says, can you help me to understand why beaches on East Coast United States have muddy-looking water compared to the crystal clear beach water I saw in your Cayman videos? Robert, there are reasons for that. One, pollution. The environmental rules are more strict in Cayman, in a lot of places actually, than they are in the U.S. They've had issues here in Florida for years and years now with things like red tide, algae blooms, oil spills, both the coasts actually. Yeah, and the amount of cruise ships that come in and out of, in and out of Miami is it definitely contributes to the environment and the water in those areas. More bacon, thank you. So I think it's a combination of reasons. It's also to do with where it is situated. The water in the Caribbean is just known to be more like sparkly blue. I'm not sure if that's to do with like ocean depth or temperatures, but it's definitely a characteristic of that area. That's a good question. I personally think it's a combination of just the natural environment, the natural way the water looks, and then pollution being really, really bad here in Miami. Yeah, I see True Juggalos is saying that the tide comes and goes here, which is very true. But there are some pictures. Let me see. I don't want to pull up any personal accounts on the stream, you guys. But let me see if I can do this. Thank you guys for all the great questions. This has been by far my most interactive stream. This is fun. Yeah, I know, Ruth Ann, the coral reefs situation is pretty sad too, not gonna lie. There's a lot of bleached reefs being found all over the place. There are, however, really, really big efforts to save them in the process. So hopefully we see some good news come from that. Let's see. Lex says, I actually went to school with someone named Lex in Cayman back in the day. So if that's you, let me know. I was born in 91. My great-grandmother and grandmother were Caymanian. 50% of my family still live in Cayman. Would it be easier for me to get my residency through my family's name, which is Baden Hurlston? Oh, heck yeah. Baden Hurlston. They'll look at you and be like, oh, that's Cayman. But that said, my family is well over 50% Caymanian, and I'm struggling to get my status because I wasn't physically born there. And there's issues with, I don't want to get too far into this because it goes all the way back to a building that burned down in the 70s and a whole bunch of people's birth certificates and birth records being lost in that fire. My grandmother's birth records was one of those. So because even though I grew up in Cayman and my mom grew up in Cayman and my grandmother was born in Cayman, grew up there, had kids there, all that stuff, and, you know, all my cousins, like everything, I'm pretty much Caymanian. I just wasn't physically born there myself. My parents had gone to Canada for Christmas, and I was like, surprise, emergency C-section. And so I was born in Canada. But they were actually living in Cayman at the time. It just was the way things played out. But because of that, I've had a very, very, very long and hard battle trying to get my status. So my opinion is, look up the laws on what qualifies for getting your Cayman status. And if you have the right, fight for it. Because otherwise, you're going to have to pay to get residency and then go through all the drama of doing the PR thing. I don't think you can vote with PR. I have to double check on that. Anyways, for me, I would rather just fight for my status. Otherwise, I'm going to have to pay for the PR, wait like 8 years or something stupid, and then pay for the status too. So it's like, why? The laws are just stupid. They changed things to basically make it harder for descendants of Caymanians because they were selling so many status application approvals to expats who were buying millions of dollars worth of land. So for people like me who don't have millions of dollars yet to spend on land, it's really hard to get your status. So if it's important to you to get there sooner than later, then go for the PR. But if you are entitled to your status and you want your status, fight for it. Feel free to DM me on Instagram, and I will send you the resources of who I've been in contact with in government. And it's worth fighting for if you think that you're entitled to it, because otherwise we're just going to get completely shoved out of the island, and it's just going to be expat island from here on out. It's sad. Anyways, let's see. Okay, we were looking at Plantation Village. Does anybody want me to pull up any other locations or answer any questions? I feel like all of these topics have been downer topics, and I just want to say, Cayman is still one of my favorite places in the whole world. It is absolutely still worth visiting. There's still so many beautiful places to see, so many beautiful things to experience. The culture is second to none. It's definitely worth it. I just think it's important that people are aware of the, less than perfect realities of our environment and what's changing in the world, all that kind of stuff, because if we don't speak up and do something about it, it's only going to get worse. So definitely don't let any of this scare you off, that's all. All right. Well, it seems that most of your guys' questions have been answered. So, if you guys liked this live stream, please do leave me a like so that I know how it was received and if I should continue to do them, if there's value in having me here live to answer your questions and chat with you guys. Because I've noticed that when I do videos with prepared things that I want to mention, there's a lot of questions that I hadn't even thought of that pop up in the comments. So I figured peppering a live stream in between every few videos might be really helpful for you guys. So let me know what you think about that. Yeah, so True Juggalos, we were actually talking about this a minute ago. I'll pull up the page again for you. So basically, if you are vaccinated, if you're fully vaccinated and you have proof of vaccination that the Health Services Authority in Cayman can verify, it's a 5-day quarantine period. So you can choose to either do that in a private residence, as long as they approve of the private residence. It can't have any like common hallways or common kitchens or bathrooms or anything with anybody else. It has to be fully isolated. Or you can do it in a hotel. They've set aside specific hotels for the incoming visitors, so that you guys can quarantine without worrying about spreading any potential virus to anybody else. And if you, oh gosh, there's so many ifs. Oops, sorry guys. My setup is crashing. Okay, so yes, if you're vaccinated, you have to do a 72-hour pre-arrival PCR test, whether or not you're vaccinated, actually, just to make sure that you are COVID negative getting on the plane. And then you still have to quarantine for 5 days if your vaccination proof is accepted, which, as long as you've gone somewhere legit, it should be accepted. However, unvaccinated travelers have to do the PCR test as well, and then they have to complete a 14-day quarantine. And just know, if you don't have a private residence, like a family member, something that's willing to let you quarantine in a private residence on your own, they will have to quarantine with you, or you will have to stay in the hotel, which is going to be real expensive, just FYI. All right, and then I think that's pretty much it. Then when your quarantine period is over, you just need a negative PCR test and you're good to go. So as far as how long that quarantine is, it just depends on if you're vaccinated or not, and if your vaccination proof is legit. So don't get one of those fake vaccine cards, because they'll get you. Oh, good question, Lex. Lex is asking if we can do a Q&A about the cheapest hotels to stay on the island. That's a great question. There's not many cheap hotels, I'll tell you. I'll do a quick overview now, but maybe next time we'll do a live specifically about visiting Cayman, traveling, things like that. I'm hearing good feedback about the live. Seems like you guys are enjoying it. So we'll definitely do another one of these. So let me know if there's any specific topics you guys would like covered for a future live video. Let's see. Let's just see what a stay in Cayman is looking like for September. Just because I already had those dates in there. Alright, so for a single night in September, let's price low to high. So I like that Expedia these days actually shows not just hotel listings, but also like, oh, sorry, this is super laggy right now. I have too many windows open. It doesn't like me doing this when I'm streaming. I need a new laptop bad, you guys. It's a sad situation. Yeah, the Best Western, True Juggalos, that's a really good comment. I've stayed there, loved it. Yeah, so you can see this actually now includes some like Airbnb style listings as well as hotels. Why is it showing me Miami? Why? I literally put Cayman Islands. I don't know. All of these websites and their location services is not really a service, honestly. Like, just do what I search. Why is it still showing Miami? Oh my god. I might have to set this up on a different stream, you guys. Oh no, it found Cayman. Okay, we're good. Thanks, Expedia. I love some of these listings. Like, why are you showing me a post? Why are you showing me? Why? A wooden post. Anyways, okay, so we're sorting by price. So you can see that some of these, like, people who, like True Juggalos mentioned that his dad owns one of the units at Plantation. There are a lot of people at that kind of situation who will rent them out, like Airbnb style, when they're not there. So you can maybe find a good deal that way. And then, yeah, it looks like Moritz is going to be one of the more, I don't even want to say cheap. Is $265 a night cheap? I guess that depends on who you are. Then we have the Sunshine Suites. Let's look at just hotels. Hotel Resort and hotel. Yeah, the Comfort Suites, Best Western, all good points, True Juggalo. Sorry, I keep saying your name wrong. Oh boy, how did I get to the map? Oh my goodness, this computer's got a mind of its own today. I'm really stretching what this laptop wants to do. There we go. Okay, so I guess people are just lying and saying that their home is a hotel. So that's not really a helpful filter, is it? No, I guess Amore Suites technically counts. Yeah, VRBO is another good point. True Juggalos. I know a lot of those VRBO listings are here on Expedia now as well, but if you guys aren't aware, VRBO is the vacation home rentals. And you can also find some pretty good deals on there as well. I mentioned in a previous video or stream, I can't remember now, that Facebook groups are also a really good way to get info on Cayman. And like I'm in some Cayman Facebook groups where people will just post questions like, hey, does anybody have a condo or villa available on this weekend? And sometimes people will get in contact with you directly and offer you a good price that way. So, yeah. I know, Ruth Ann. I gotta be streaming more often so I can get some of that good YouTube money and get a better laptop. I gotta get on it. This is not investing in my business. All right. So yeah, this is VRBO. Similar to Expedia, you can search all different destinations, put in your dates, how many guests, and yeah, just look up different locations. So it's sort of like Airbnb, but I don't know, some people find it more legit. Everybody has their preferences. Yeah, so there's some examples. Apparently a lot's sold out right now. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So I hope you guys, I know I was kind of wrapping up earlier and then I got more questions. But I have about 5 minutes left, so I do want to start to wrap up. I want to make sure that you guys are getting really valuable information out of the streams that I do. And I'm really excited to see that you guys are interested in seeing more streams and also interested in seeing more types of content from me. I wasn't really expecting people to be asking me like, hey, are you going to do more vacation vlogs? Are you going to do more theme park vlogs? Because I was kind of scared that if I started doing other types of content that I would lose the viewers that I got from my time in Cayman. So really stoked to see that you guys are interested and invested in what's coming next. So just know that there is a major vlog series coming end of December for my big birthday trip. I might hint at where that's going to be, but I want to try to keep my mouth shut. I'm really not going to keep my mouth shut. I'm so excited. But I want it to be a surprise for you guys. So just know that there's a really big, fun group of videos coming end of December. And then after that, I hope to get into the series of, like I was talking about, doing hotel reviews, more theme park vlogs, going back to Cayman more regularly once those quarantine restrictions lighten up a little bit, because I don't want to have to force my family to quarantine with me. And I just don't want to pay to stay in a hotel for 5 days if I don't need to. So I'm going to wait a little longer. Fingers crossed that that'll lighten up soon. And we'll definitely talk about things like different types of tourism, where to stay, all sorts of different tips in future lives. So thank you guys again for joining me. This has been super fun. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!